Welcome to Everyday Inspiring Women. I'm Jessica Burrell, and I'm here to interview women, maybe your friends or neighbors, your coworkers or family, or maybe you even see yourself in the stories. No matter how you hear these stories, they will help you see the things you may want in your life, that they're possible, and no matter what, that you're not alone. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 33 of Everyday Inspiring Women. I'm your host, Jessica Burrell, and I am so excited to introduce our guest for today, Jane Stoller. She is a business and life organizer, and we met online, and I just adore her message and all of the stuff she has to offer. So she agreed to come on and really kind of jam about how she got started. And she said to me just earlier going, it's so important to have your life organized, and then that really helps put everything else into your life as organized. And she's going to say it so much better than I just did, but welcome, Jane.
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, you said it great.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you. So that's really how I love getting started and, letting you really introduce yourself, get into the nuts and bolts of it, and, how you got started doing what you're doing.
No, it's a great question. And a lot of people say, how do you make money organizing things, right? So for myself, I actually started this business 10 years ago, and I failed because I wasn't ready to market myself, and I didn't have the community and tribe of mentors that I do now, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, a bit later. But I spent 10 years working in the corporate world, and I was constantly organizing everything from projects to, and then on the side, I would organize people and their businesses. And I go beyond organizing things. It's more processes and lifestyle. And it's evolved. I've researched the skill. I've written a book. I've taken classes from everything from productivity to organizing things, and I've become an expert in it. So now since January, it's my one of my full-time businesses. So it's that's what I do now.
Oh, congratulations! That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we even just really dived in, isn't it funny, or not funny, I guess, how it's that one thing that everyone knows you for, and you're just like so good at it. And tell me if this is true for you. You're so good at it that you didn't even think that it was a special skill. Like, is that true for you?
So true. And then we think we can't make people pay for it because I love doing it.
Right.
So that's the challenge of making your passion into your business, because I thought, even the book I wrote, I said, this is all my tips I love sharing. I don't want people to pay for this. I want to give it away, right? So it's and we devalue our skills that we have because we're so good at it, and we think, we totally devalue it. So you're right.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how that happens. And I think women are especially good at doing that.
Yes.
Or
exactly.
not good at doing that. I guess it's the opposite. So tell me a little bit more. So you started this 10 years ago, and you kind of didn't have yourself set up for success. How did you get someone just said this term to me, the brass ovaries? Like, how did you get the courage to decide, you know what, even though I didn't succeed, I learned, the first time, but I'm going to try it again. So could you get into that a little bit more? Like, how did you have that courage to start again?
Yeah, well, it has a lot to do with enlisting support. And I look back 10 years and I looked at the mistakes I'd made and why I was scared. And the fear was the main thing. I was scared to market myself. I didn't believe in my skills. So in last January, I actually hired a personal branding coach to help me get over those fears. And then she really opened my eyes to so many communities, and I started reading books, everything from, Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass, to, lots of different mentors that are at our fingertips. Mm-hmm. We might not live beside them, but they're available now with our online communities, join Facebook groups with other entrepreneurial women. So really getting that support was able to get me over my fear, and then take me to the next level.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So how do you work with your clients now? Like how how do you organize people? Is that a really big
I get
question?
this all the time. They say, can
Yeah.
you come to my house and organize my closet? And I said, I'd love to, but I'm only one person. So what I do is I have a kind of an online coaching course, and it runs 4 weeks, and it's personalized support. You do get me in it, but it's a group of other women as well. So I run monthly coaching courses. I do one-on-one consultations as well, mostly over Skype or whatnot. And then I do speaking events and write books and write articles. So I really try and inspire people and help them. The one-on-one is a lot with business coaching as well, or if people are starting a new business, they want to know how to even organize the processes. So I did a lot of work in my corporate role in project management. So that helped me understand business processes really well. But I always take clients and I say, okay, you want to organize your business, but let's start with your home. Let's start with your closet. Because especially we as women, we waste even up to 10 minutes to an hour a day in our closets. And it goes beyond that. It goes even to if we're not wearing something that we couldn't find to wearing something else, or something is wrinkled, then we're thinking about it the whole day. So that time wasted where we should be focused on being a boss or focused on getting a new customer, we're worrying about these little things. So I say, we start with your closet and we streamline. It's a holistic approach from your house to your business processes.
I love that so much because I've experienced that personally, I would say over the last year as well. For me, just going into my closet and getting rid of things that didn't fit,
Feels so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Really trying to minimalize it. And I felt that. So do you get women are busy, although like a lot of people will argue they don't like that word. So like lots of women have a full plate, I'll say.
Yeah.
And how do you get them to realize the importance of starting at the starting point? Like let's say like your closet, start at your closet. Like how can you reinforce that with women going like, I understand that, like you don't have time not to do it, but for the people who are really caught up in that, I don't want to say an excuse, like, but that the story they're telling themselves, I don't have the time to do my closet. Like, how do you like really unpack that for them?
Well, it's so funny because everybody, when I meet them, say, oh, I need you because I wish I could be more organized. And then when the closet, they always say, oh my God, it's taking way too long. So what I actually do is I have an exercise I go through women I want them to track their closet time for a week, similar to other time tracking things. But really it when you have to physically write down the amount of time you waste on something as trivial as that, it's a little bit of an aha moment. And after this, we talk about the week and we say, you know what, that 10 minutes a day is 60 hours of your life, 2.5 days you've wasted now on what you could have been doing. Let's say we probably could have made your whole business plan in that 2 days.
Right.
So it's, and it's just allowing them to work through that exercise is really kind of an aha moment for them.
I love that. That's such a really good perspective too, right? Because I bet you they don't think they're spending as much time as they actually are in their closet.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's the first thing you see it's the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning. A lot of people say, make your bed because you've accomplished one thing. The closet is one of those things that sets the mood for the day. If it's organized and streamlined, likely the rest of your processes will be. So it really is that first thing in the morning.
I love it. Yeah. I noticed that too. When my closet is clean, I just am like, I can do anything when my closet's clean.
Yeah, exactly. I say you can do anything when you're organized.
Totally. Oh yeah. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
When we first were getting started, you were talking a little bit about vulnerability and how sometimes it takes a vulnerability to put yourself out there. So I'm a huge Brene Brown fan, like love her. And I thought
I just saw her at the Texas Women's Conference.
We can't be friends anymore because I'm way too jealous now. Forget it. We're done.
No, she's amazing.
Oh my God. So awesome. Yes. I know. I was trying to get tickets to the Texas Women's any of those women's conferences are just like, you have to be on the mailing list and get in on the day they go on sale.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm distracted. Sorry. Back to the distracted.
Sorry, that's my fault.
No. Yeah. So tell me about you're mentioning a little bit how it takes the vulnerability to put yourself out there. Like how did you notice that? Like, how did that work out for you?
Yeah, that's I think the whole reason my business failed 10 years ago is because I didn't realize, back then we didn't have all the online support we have now. Didn't feel like I had access to this, other empowered women, the Brene Browns of the world. I didn't even really realize they were out there, and that vulnerability was something that we should be talking about versus, coming from, especially from corporate. It's, you put on a suit, you go to work, and what are you doing with an online business? You can't market yourself. So it was, I had some not bad advice, but I didn't, it was my fault that I didn't look for more advice or more diversified advice. So I think for myself, the vulnerability hit me that I perhaps took a few advice, not enough, and didn't really know that I should be vulnerable and talking about why I'm scared and getting over that, and looking for support.
Yeah. And I think just saying, that I failed, like, that's powerful.
It's
because
tough. Yeah.
Yes.
And people think I'm an organizer and that I'm perfect and, everything's always great, but you have to be able to show that nothing is perfect. And I don't organize to perfection. I organize for sustainability and a lifestyle, right? So it's different.
Yeah, and then that's good too, because then you can say, hey, it's you have to be yourself. You organize around people, not the other way around, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you, given that you're busy you're a busy female entrepreneur and you have a full plate, like, how do you self-care? So, like, self-care is big. I know something that I like to ask everyone I talk to, because it's such an important piece. And I'm always working at that, me personally. So I'm always curious what busy women do to make sure that they're making themselves a priority in their life.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I always bring this into organizing as well, because my last YouTube video was on calendar organization. And one of my points is, I color code and I put in my fitness and self-care is in pink. And if I open my calendar and there's no pink for the week, I know that there's a problem, right? And if it's all red, it's all meetings. So you have to sit back and also prioritize that time. And for me, I had parents who kind of always talked about, eating healthy and being physically active. So for me, if it's in my calendar, and I'll commit to it. But it's a planning thing. You need to make sure you even plan a time to and from the gym and put that in your calendar and not avoid it and stick to that priority. So for myself, self-care is non-negotiable. And along with, sleep is a big thing. The Sleep Revolution with the Arianne Huffington book. We always say we should be so productive and we should only sleep 5 hours a day, but that makes us less productive, right? So I always say you can get so much done in even less time than you think if you're focused, and self-care is included. So don't eliminate that.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Love that. Do you ever feel guilty about making sure it's a priority on your own list? Is guilt something that you ever deal with?
Not about that. Perhaps about others, not spending enough time with friends or family. I feel guilty about that, but we have to all get over that. But self-care, no, because if I'm not feeling good, then I'm not going to portray that to my customers, and I won't be the best version of myself. Yeah. And we always, do we want CEOs or world leaders without sleep or not taking care of themselves and they're foggy in their heads? No, we want people making good decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Sleep's huge. I agree. It's so important.
Oh yeah.
And it's always when you have a lack of sleep, when you're like, wow, I really am foggy and not performing at my best.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
I haven't slept. It's true.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about, so like you told us how, like, 10 years ago, and then in January you recommitted to your passion in, your real zone of genius, if you will. And so what's happening for you now? So you mentioned briefly that you're just at the Texas Women's Conference, and like, what other things are kind of coming up for you in your journey right now?
Yeah, so it's very exciting because it went as soon as I committed and got over my fear that I had 10 years ago and really said, I'm going to focus on this and put a plan and got myself organized on the business planning. Then it started to take off, and the consistency is important. So next year, I actually have a few. I'm speaking at a conference in Toronto, Canada, which is all about women empowerment and women in business in June. So that's going to be a great, the Atelier Collective. So it's going to be a great thing that I'm going to be speaking. Also in Germany, I'm from Switzerland. I'm speaking at a conference in Berlin in February about organizing business processes to a lot of people in corporate. So it's just as important for them. So a lot of speaking opportunities, but also my courses, which I'm the most committed to, because there you have people that are wanting help and wanting to make an improvement to achieve their goal. And I know they can do it through being more organized. So for myself, just working with my customers.
Awesome. You'll send me the link for the one in Canada, because I'm in Canada and we're not too far from Toronto. So I would love to get some women and we'll come see you.
Yes, I will.
And
Perfect.
I'll post the link on the show notes as well. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Road trip.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So have you always wanted to, is speaking new for you then?
I did a lot, working working for 10 years, but not keynotes or not on my passion. So it's fairly new for me as well. Yeah. And I do teach a university class, so I'm in front of students a lot, but a different topic.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, that's awesome. Love it. So I kind of lost my train of thought, but I wanted to talk about, you mentioned a couple authors as we've gone along. So I really love to talk about if you could narrow down your favorite book, just one, what do you think it would be?
Oh, it's so hard.
I know.
But the book that really has changed my life was, this is interesting, but The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it's not about mindset or whatnot. It's about, it's really tangible things you can do to be more productive and just do it. So I always refer back to that book.
So I'm a huge Audible fan because I have a commute I still have my corporate job. So I commute about an hour each way. So 2 hours in a day. So I do a lot of audiobook listening, and I've not read that. Listened. I say read, but I've never read it. Okay. I'm putting it on my wish list.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it really talks about, being productive versus busy and just how we can focus in and get more done with less time, and also how valuable our time is and what we want to accomplish. So that really helps, especially when women are thinking, or we're thinking how much to price or what what our value is. That book really drills down on kind of our goals and works backwards.
Awesome.
Good book.
Okay, I love that. I'll have to,
that was a hard question.
Hey,
there's so many good books, but
there are so many good books, but I agree. It's hard narrowing it down, but it's so funny that you're like, it was a hard question, but you knew your answer, right?
But I knew, because I always keep referring to it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you touched on this a little bit too, but around community. So you were saying one big shift you've noticed from 10 years ago versus when you relaunched your business this time was a support system or community, so I'm curious because I run a community locally called Tribe, and we get together, we have in-person meetups, and there's a lot to be said on in-person meetups, but we also have an online community. So I'm really curious about, one, who is how did you create a community, and what does that consist of for you?
Mm-hmm. So I needed a community myself of kind of women entrepreneurs to get myself back into into my business. And now I'm creating a community around Organized Jane as well. So that's really a community of even my team that I'm working with. So for them to have a virtual team, I'd say, but we're not all in the same, let's say, physical community, but empowering them and the more my success, I want to employ people and help people as well. And then also just the customers and the people I meet at events. So trying to keep that community going and get people excited a little bit about organizing, that it's fun, that it should be part of their life. It's not something to say, oh my gosh, I got to organize. It's something that they don't think about anymore because they're doing it automatically. So that's my goal from kind of creating the Organized Jane community.
Love that. And I think it's interesting because what a shift. I feel like there's a shift happening. I'm sure it's just me noticing it. I'm sure it's been happening longer than this, but just women going from that typical patriarchal competitive and like backstabbing and catty mentality with each
Yeah,
other, to really growing into this supportive space where we can see what each other is doing and be like, yes, and like lift each other up. um do you notice this?
exactly.
Yeah, do you feel that shift as well?
Huge shift, a huge shift. And even among my friends, we're now talking about, how much money we earn, because it's important, because we never talk about stuff like that. So we should be, to empower each other, right? So 5 years ago, we never would have mentioned that, right? So I find that all of us are becoming more, we want to help each other and promote women, and of course men too, but really make sure that we have that support system.
Yeah, love that. It's so important. Thank you.
Oh,
um
yes.
is there anything I didn't ask that you want to make sure that you talk about, that I didn't specifically ask you, that you want to share?
No, I think we talked about a lot. I just kind of want to reiterate that, it is kind of, I do hope to inspire everyone to just look at their organizing systems, their routines, and just where they can save 10 minutes a day to focus on self-care, whatever it may be. And it shouldn't be, I don't want to make organizing seem like it's a big task or a big job, but make it fun, make it part of your routine, and I promise you, you'll get more done than you would have imagined.
Yeah, agreed. Love that. How can I'll put this in the show notes too, but how, if people want to learn more about you and your systems and your community, how would they do that?
Mhm. So organizejane.com.
Awesome.
That's my website. And then has all my social links and courses, and where I'll be speaking, everything on there.
Everything. The kit and caboodle is there. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Jane,
Mm.
thank you so much for sharing your story today. I'm so happy that our paths crossed, and I look forward to our road trip and meeting you in person in Toronto coming up soon.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy I'm here.
Awesome. Have a good day. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If you like the show, please take a minute to rate us on iTunes and share this episode with your tribe. If you know of an everyday inspiring woman who has a powerful story that they're willing to share, please get in touch with me so we can talk further. Also, please share your story. It has so much power to inspire and heal.